What if one honest question could undo years of self-deception? Not another productivity hack, not some life coach mantra, just one real question you've been avoiding. What stupid thing am I still doing, and why am I not stopping? Sounds simple, but it isn't, because the answer to that question isn't hidden. It's not buried under layers of confusion. It's usually sitting right at the surface. You know it. You've always known. The behavior, the relationship, the pattern that keeps showing up. The one that keeps hurting you. The one you explain away to others, but can't hide from yourself. Maybe it's how you people please to avoid conflict, or how you constantly scroll through distractions to numb what you don't want to feel. Maybe it's staying silent when you know you should speak, or playing small because success would expose you to judgment. Whatever it is, it's not a mystery. It's a mirror. Radical self-responsibility begins the moment you stop looking for someone to blame and start telling yourself the truth. You don't need another reminder. You need to stop pretending. The chaos in your life might not be random. It might be what you've chosen, consciously or not, because it's easier to manage dysfunction than face the silence of real responsibility. I knew someone like that, Ethan. He said all the right things, read all the books, posted quotes about healing and purpose. But behind closed doors, he was stuck in loops, getting into the same arguments, sabotaging every project, always saying, "I'm working on it." But he wasn't. He was performing effort to avoid accountability, because real responsibility means admitting, if my life's a mess, I'm the one holding the brush. We've all been there, telling ourselves we're just tired, just confused, just stuck. But truthfully, we're often just afraid that if we stopped blaming circumstances, we'd have to do the work. That's where radical self-responsibility hits. It doesn't let you off the hook. It puts the weight in your hands and asks, now what? Fixing yourself doesn't mean fixing everything overnight. It means taking ownership of your life, step by brutal step, even if it's messy, even if it's uncomfortable, and it always is. The process begins when you stop outsourcing your peace, when you stop waiting for closure, support, or permission, when you accept that no one is coming to save you, and that this is not a threat, but an invitation to power. Face your truth, really face it. Ask, what do I keep allowing that's slowly destroying me? What do I keep justifying that no longer fits who I am? What do I keep avoiding, even though I know it's the exact thing I need to do? When you stop negotiating with your pain, you begin negotiating with your future. Personal accountability is the line. On one side, comfort, blame, distraction. On the other, clarity, movement, dignity. But it costs you. It costs the version of you that stays in hiding. It costs your stories, your victimhood, your illusions. That's why most people don't cross it. But if you're reading this, maybe you're not most people. Maybe you're ready to take ownership, not in theory, but in practice. Radical self-responsibility is choosing not to stay asleep in your life. It's turning toward your patterns and saying, I see you, I've carried you, but I'm done now. Fix yourself, not because you're broken, but because you're finally done avoiding the work that will make you whole. So again, ask, what stupid thing am I still doing? And what would change if I finally stopped? Let it sit in your body. Let it burn if it needs to. Because change doesn't always start with a plan. Sometimes it starts with the courage to look at your life and whisper, this isn't it. And then, step by step, you build something better. Before you go, pause. Ask the question. This is where it begins. Radical self-responsibility. Face your truth. Take ownership of your life. No one is coming to save you, and that's where your power lives. Who's really talking when you speak? Is it your soul or your fear? You speak every day, to coworkers, to friends, to family. You speak in texts, in meetings, in laughter. But if someone asked you to speak as your truest self, unfiltered and honest, what would come out? Would it be your truth, or would it be a carefully crafted script, one you've been rehearsing for years? You learned early that being liked required being predictable. Being accepted meant being agreeable. You were taught to shrink your voice to fit other people's comfort. So you adapted. You built a version of yourself that was praised. The high achiever, the strong one, the one who keeps it together. You built a life that makes sense on paper. And yet, deep down, it feels like you're playing a role that never really belonged to you. That's not freedom. That's performance. And the more you perform, the more the real you fades. You start questioning, is this really what I want? Or is this just what I've always done? Because when you spend your life avoiding discomfort, you lose connection with others and with yourself. The voice you use today, it's not always yours. It's the voice shaped by expectation. It's the voice trained to keep peace, not speak truth. It's the voice of fear. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of being too much. Fear of being rejected if you finally speak with your whole heart. So you smile when something hurts. You nod when you want to scream. You say, "I'm fine," when your whole being aches. But inside, a different voice whispers, "This isn't me." And that voice, that's the one worth listening to. It's not you talking, it's your fear speaking. Fear convinces you that if people saw your full self, the unfiltered, vulnerable, messy parts, they'd walk away. So you filter, you smile, you survive. But surviving isn't living, and masking isn't belonging. Here's the emotional spiral. You silence your needs to be accepted. You become what others want. They love the version you present, but you feel unloved because they don't know the real you. This is the quiet agony of being praised while feeling invisible. It builds slowly, day by day, until one moment you catch yourself mid-sentence and think, "Who is saying this? Because it doesn't sound like me." That's not weakness, that's awareness. And awareness is the beginning of healing. Let's go deeper. Ask yourself, who taught you that vulnerability is dangerous? Who convinced you that your feelings made you unlovable? Who told you that fitting in was more important than being whole? These questions aren't about blame, they're about permission. Permission to unlearn the story that said your truth was too much. Because it never was. You've spent years building protection, but now you're safe enough to come home. You're not the only one. So many wear masks that never fit. They walk through life being polite, appropriate, agreeable, yet aching for someone to really see them. Reframe what healing means. It's not changing who you are. It's returning to who you've always been before you learned to hide. That child who spoke with wonder, who said what they felt, who believed their voice mattered. That's still in you. Radical self-responsibility means choosing to stop the performance, not because it was wrong, but because it's no longer needed. You no longer need to be who they expect. You no longer need to shrink for safety. You need to be you, boldly, messily, truthfully. Fixing yourself doesn't mean turning into someone new. It means shedding what was never you. So before you scroll away, pause. Ask yourself, who's really talking when I speak? Is it truth or is it fear? Is it me or is it a version they trained? Because the world doesn't need a better performance. It needs your raw, unfiltered voice. You're not too much. You're just finally ready to be real. And when you speak from that place, everything changes. No more role, just reality. No more survival, just self. This is your return. This is your voice. This is you, unmasked, unedited, whole. Fixing yourself doesn't mean perfection. It means finally stopping the performance. You've built an identity that's impressive, on paper, high-functioning, hard-working, always progressing. But beneath the surface, you're exhausted. Not because you're lazy, not because you're weak, because trying to fix yourself has become your full-time identity. You've read every book, taken every course, tried every technique, and still, it feels like you're not quite there yet. You tell yourself, when I'm fully healed, I'll finally rest. When I become more confident, then I'll speak up. When I figure it all out, then I'll deserve love. But what if none of those conditions were ever true? What if your power isn't in the destination, but in the honesty of the journey? What if fixing yourself doesn't mean changing who you are, but finally accepting who you've always been? Because let's be honest, you've built a life that looks strong, but feels disconnected. You've checked all the boxes, but still feel like you're missing something. You've been chasing a version of yourself that doesn't even feel real. That's not growth. That's survival in disguise. Trying to fix yourself has become another way to reject yourself. You've traded your truth for approval, your voice for silence, your wholeness for perfection. So let's reframe everything. Fixing doesn't mean erasing flaws. It means facing them with compassion. Fixing doesn't mean you failed. It means you're finally listening. Fixing doesn't mean performance. It means presence. You were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be real. And real is messy. Real is vulnerable. Real is where your power lives. Healing begins the moment you stop pretending you're fine and start admitting you're tired of pretending. You don't need to be fearless to be brave. You don't need to be whole to be worthy. You don't need to be finished to be seen. You need to show up exactly as you are. This is where radical self-responsibility comes in, not as punishment, but as liberation. It's the decision to stop outsourcing your worth. It's the moment you say, I'm done performing who I think I should be, and I'm ready to show up as who I am. Even if that version is still healing, even if that version is still messy, even if that version doesn't have all the answers. Because guess what? Nobody does. And the ones who look like they do, they're performing too. Freedom begins not when you become someone new, but when you stop betraying yourself to be accepted. You don't need another 90-day plan. You don't need more tips. You don't need another routine. You need to stop, to breathe, to ask yourself, what part of me have I abandoned just to belong? That part of you is still there, waiting. You don't have to fight to get her back. You just have to stop running. Stop running from your softness. Stop hiding your fear. Stop pretending you're not tired. Fixing yourself doesn't mean deleting your past. It means integrating it. It means saying, yes, that happened, and I'm still here. You want power? Speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. You want peace? Let yourself rest, even if you haven't done enough. You want connection? Let yourself be seen, even if you're not ready. That's real freedom. Fixing doesn't mean becoming flawless. It means remembering you were always enough. You just forgot. So start again, not with more hustle, but with more honesty. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment. This is the moment. Fixing doesn't mean changing who you are. It means returning to what was always true. You, here, now. Enough. Start today by noticing where you shrink, where you silence yourself, where you say yes when your whole body says no. That's where the performance lives. And that's where freedom begins. It's not a grand gesture. It's the small daily choice to stop pretending, to say, I don't have it all figured out, but I'm willing to be seen anyway. Because fixing doesn't mean becoming someone better. It means shedding who you were never meant to be. You were not born to impress. You were born to express. And the version of you that's real, raw, unfinished, that's the version people crave. Let them meet you. Let you meet you. Fully, finally, freely. You've spent your whole life chasing a version of yourself that would finally be enough. You thought if you could just get it right, say the right thing, be agreeable, stay quiet when it hurt, you'd finally belong. So you learned how to perform, how to smile when it stung, how to succeed while silently suffering, how to be needed but never too needy, and you became excellent at it. They called you strong, reliable, unshakable. But inside, something was always missing, because what they loved was the version of you you'd carefully built to survive, not the one that longs to breathe. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to find yourself. Radical self-responsibility isn't about adding more layers of improvement. It's about peeling them back. It's about saying, I'm done performing. I'm done waiting to be ready. I'm done editing my voice to make others comfortable. You don't need more strategies. You need space. Space to feel what's true. Space to stop pretending. Space to be soft. The old strategy of fixing yourself was really just hiding. Hiding your truth under achievements, hiding your needs behind niceness, hiding your voice in silence. But the truth has been knocking, quietly, persistently. It asks, what if you stopped performing? What if you let them see the real you? What if you didn't need to be perfect to be powerful? You don't need to be fearless to be honest. You just need to be brave enough to begin. Healing starts not with control, but with curiosity, with gentleness, with listening. Listening to the part of you that's been silenced for too long. Listening to the exhaustion beneath your accomplishments. Listening to the whisper that says, come back to me. That whisper is your voice. Not the voice trained for applause, but the voice that remembers who you really are. It says, I'm tired of fixing. I want to feel. I want to live. I want to tell the truth, even if it shakes. I want to breathe without apologizing. Fixing yourself is exhausting. You've tried. You've hustled. You've made yourself smaller to feel safe. You've kept quiet to keep peace. You've disappeared so others could stay comfortable. Now try something else. Try telling the truth. Tell the truth about what hurts. Tell the truth about what you need. Tell the truth about the pressure that's been silently killing your joy. This isn't rebellion. This is return. Return to your softness. Return to your wholeness. Return to your worth, unproven, unedited, unchanged. Radical self-responsibility doesn't mean carrying it all alone. It means choosing not to abandon yourself, not when they disapprove, not when it's inconvenient, not even when it's scary. It's saying, I will no longer betray my truth to make you comfortable. I will no longer wait for permission to be myself. You don't owe anyone your silence. You owe yourself your life. Start with this moment, this breath, this knowing. You don't have to burn out to be valid. You don't have to stay silent to keep the peace. You don't have to fix yourself to be worthy of love, because you were never broken. You were just buried under expectation, under pressure, under performance. Take off the mask. Let your face breathe. Let your voice shake. Let yourself live. Stop performing strength. Start practicing softness. Stop editing your voice. Start declaring your truth. Stop trying to be perfect. Start daring to be real. Start choosing you. Start remembering you belong. You don't have to fight to be seen anymore. You only have to stop disappearing. You only have to show up with your truth in your hands and your name in your mouth. You don't have to do it all at once. Just one breath at a time. One moment of truth. One honest choice. One step away from fixing and toward being. Because every time you choose yourself, you change everything. Mindset Mastery Hub isn't here to fix you. It's here to remind you, you don't need fixing. You need remembering. You need honesty. You need home. You need space to breathe and the safety to speak. Radical self-responsibility means choosing presence over performance, self-trust over self-judgment, real over perfect, voice over silence, being over pretending. And when you forget, because you will, forgive yourself quickly and return. Return to your voice. Return to your breath. Return to your life. Return to what's always been true. You are enough. You are ready. You are home. Please stop performing. Please start living. You are not broken. You are becoming. Welcome back.